The 2021 federal election is fast approaching, and today we have the opportunity to discuss the issues with the Lethbridge NDP candidate, Elaine Perez. Elaine, welcome to Bridge City News.
Hi there.
Hi, so let's talk about, first of all, the timing of this election. We're still in the midst of a pandemic. There are wildfires burning across many regions of the country. Many people feel that the timing of this election by the Liberals is very poor. Would you agree with that statement, and if so, why?
Um, I would say so. It was definitely very rushed the way this election was called. Definitely puts all the other parties at a disadvantage starting so soon. Um, and it is kind of a hard task to tackle because of the pandemic. A lot of constituents are very worried about their safety, trying to get out to the polls. And it's hard to engage with a lot of the folks who live out here because you don't want to go to their doors too often, or you don't know who's uncomfortable with you showing up during a canvass. So there's that challenge right there. But I think everyone's main priority during this election is trying to engage voters and trying to get everyone out as much as possible.
So, as you're door knocking, Elaine, across Lethbridge here, what are some of the big issues that constituents are sharing with you?
Um, Definitely a lot of affordable housing. I've been getting a lot of talk about what plans we have for affordable childcare. A lot of people are finding it really difficult to get back into the workforce when schools are. It's really hard to know when schools are closing, when schools are opening up again. A lot of people are worried about how expensive it is to get good quality childcare. For a working person, for the average household, they can go up to $2,000 a month. And we're trying to propose at least like a $10 a day childcare program, at least to try and get as many people back into their jobs.
Affordable childcare, and let's touch as well, like you mentioned earlier, on affordable housing. Many millennials, many Canadians who want to buy a house for the first time don't even have the 5% down. House prices are going through the roof, pardon the pun, but it's not just for a mortgage, but for rent as well. So, what's your plan when it comes to affordable housing?
Um, the NDP has made a plan in trying to partner with municipalities all across the country and trying to build over 500,000 new complexes and trying to keep the rates down. They want to partner with um, other organizations to try and keep mortgages as low as possible and try to keep to the 30-year plan with low monthly costs for new families or first time buyers and those kinds of things. I think a lot of the problem is a lot of houses people are trying to rent out, but they stay vacant, and we're running out of other places to sell out. And a lot of student, like especially Lethbridge, which is a big, dense student population. I find like there should be more policies in place about, trying to keep uh, the rent as low as possible for all the new students and trying not to upcharge them, even though they know they can.
Now, healthcare is also a big election topic each and every time we go to the polls. Now, Elaine, your party would like to implement some kind of universal pharmacare package, providing not only health care, but also universal prescription drug coverage and dental coverage. Can you flesh that out for us a little bit more? And how would we pay for that?
Yeah. So because of we as Canadians pride ourselves on universal healthcare, but our healthcare doesn't include dental work, it doesn't include optometry or your prescription drugs, and those can be very costly if you're someone who needs to be getting a prescription monthly, even biweekly. We want to implement or rework provincial budgets to we want to fund at least 20% more because currently I believe the federal government funds 30% into this kind of healthcare program and trying to get people without insurance to be able to afford their meds. keep pharmacies regulated. Um, because some people don't have a choice. If they don't have great insurance coverage, if they don't have any benefits, paying for their monthly medications, or even a yearly dentist visit is really something they'd have to pay out of pocket. But that's all part of healthcare, so it's not very universal if only some people can get access to that.
Now, theoretically speaking, that sounds pretty good. We all want better health care and make it more affordable. But at the end of the day, who's going to pay for that? Is it the average Canadian taxpayer? Or is like your leader, Jagmeet Singh, says, we're going to tax the ultra rich? Where's that money going to come from?
I would have to agree with Jagmeet Singh. Many corporations during this pandemic did profit a lot more than the average person. The average working person maybe actually lost money or even lost their jobs during this pandemic. It should be fair that they get a luxury tax, or don't evade any taxes, or they're paying their fair share of taxes to help out the working class of Canada. Um, for them, it's a right now we treat healthcare as a privilege when it should be a right.
Elaine, with the COVID pandemic, the Liberal government has made certain decisions as to how they're going to go about implementing restrictions and lockdowns. Do you agree with how this was handled, or does the NDP maybe have a better plan?
I definitely think that the Canadian government should have worked more closely with provincial governments during this pandemic. Right now, a lot of the issues we're seeing vary province to province. Even living in Alberta right now, lots of people have things to say about that. Um, I think the lockdowns were necessary. However, I don't believe that the Liberal government gave any Canadians any support during this time, or any they didn't do the right thing the first time they had to be asked to do so. I felt that even the support they did offer excluded a lot of people during this pandemic and gave no one a choice but to work under these conditions. I would think that if we were to implement a lockdown, say another wave, a big wave were to come back, I would really trust that the NDP and myself to fight for those better supports to protect all Canadians and all residents of Canada.
You know, you're right. Originally, a lot of people did fall through the cracks, including a lot of self-employed people. They're saying, what about us when it comes to payments to support us here? Now, what are your thoughts on vaccine passports? It's a hot button topic right now. Many Canadians are for it. A lot are against the vaccine passports. What are your thoughts?
Um, this one is a very tricky question to answer, but I will say I am for vaccine passports. Um, Statistically and scientifically, we know the vaccine is the best way to go about handling this pandemic. It protects a lot of people. It like it's only fair that if we want to reopen and try and get back to what life was before, and we want to gather, we want to go shopping or to restaurants or concerts. Um, those who go should be either wearing masks, or you got to prove that you're vaccinated for everyone's safety, including your own. It's not like against anyone, and I think that would inspire more people to get vaccinated. Um, and I think the other issue is that there's just a lot of misinformation going out there about vaccinations, and I hope that it's something we can try and remedy in the future.
Do you think that the vaccine should be mandatory for all Canadians, or should it still be a person's choice? Like my body, my choice?
I do think it should be a choice, um, just because anything mandatory, does make a lot of people, including myself, a little hesitant. But either way, I really do believe that people will make the right choice given the right information. Um, right now there is, like I said earlier, there's a lot of misinformation going out about the vaccine, and I think that is the main reason why people are very hesitant about it. And I think the mandatory vaccine would also isolate those who are actually medically exempt from the vaccine, and that would cause more stigma against unvaccinated people. But yeah, the biggest issue here is, I think, the misinformation and trying to get the right information out so people can make that right choice for themselves and others around them.
Now, federal spending during the pandemic has left Canada with a debt that is growing by over $424 million a day. What kind of monetary policy will your party follow in order to not only create jobs, but boost the economy without placing unmanageable financial burden on future generations?
This one is also a very tricky question to answer. However, a lot of the policies the NDP are, really excited to put forward include trying to create a new green economy or trying to make a low carbon economy, which would open a lot of jobs. This means, trying to hire those who usually work in other industries into using those skills towards building green infrastructure or low carbon infrastructure emissions, and trying to change a lot of municipalities' power grids to maybe a more renewable energy power source. They've also put in initiatives and trying to, uh, help out more small businesses, because small businesses are what make small municipalities like Lethbridge, um, their economy. It boosts their economy in that sense. And right now, a lot of small businesses are starting to suffer the consequences of the many lockdowns and restrictions. And so I really believe in the federal government having their involvement and being more involved with supporting small businesses in the future.
Now, Elaine, there have been many cases of churches clashing with governments over the right to gather for worship during the COVID-19 lockdowns. Concern has been expressed that there's really a double standard: one rule for the big box stores and much more stringent restrictions for the small business owners and the churches. How do you see the issue of religious freedom during COVID-19 pandemic?
Um, I don't really see an issue at all. During the restrictions and the lockdowns, no one was told they were no longer free to practice or believe in any religion they're affiliated with. They were still free to do so. During that time as well, a lot of different provincial governments were, stating ideas and what they can do to congregate in a safe manner. Um, you know, no one right now is being infringed upon. You're still free to congregate online, outdoors. You're still free to do all of that type of stuff. Sometimes you can practice with your families or your small groups of your social cohort. There's many different safe ways to congregate and practice your religion during this pandemic. It was only asked that you did not meet in large groups indoors.
Now, on the environmental front, Elaine, many Southern Albertans are feeling the pinch and the impact of the carbon tax, especially a lot of our farmers here in southwestern Alberta. Is a carbon tax really necessary to protect the environment, or is there a much more effective way? What are your thoughts?
I believe that the carbon tax was a step in the right direction, but if there is no plan to implement using that tax dollar, then it is rendered pretty much useless. I believe the NDP has plans, which I've stated before, in trying to that's trying to commit to lowering Canada's carbon emissions in the future. Using that tax dollar, we can also try and start laying ground and infrastructure that would benefit small municipalities as well as rural areas with renewable energy sources. Um, the tax dollar would create more jobs, opening up more opportunities for people to renew their skills and apply it into the renewable energy sector.
Elaine Perez is the federal NDP candidate for Lethbridge. Elaine, thanks so much for your time today.
And thank you. It was good to chat with you.